The best thing about having family all across the world is yes, you get an excuse to travel to different countries, but the most important thing is when there's a shoe not released in the United States, I have connections in other regions who can get them for me. Earlier this year, Nike released their Lunar New Year collection. Most of those were not released in the US. I already had to reach out to my cousin who lives in Europe to get the Nike Dunk Low Year of the Rabbit. But there was one shoe that I knew I had to get my hands on no matter what. Air Jordan 23 Year of the Rabbit. The shoe never released in the US, it did release in Asia, and I was originally born in Taiwan, so I still have extended family there. So I had to call in some favors, and they came through. And I'm telling you, I can't be happier. I can't put into words how much I like this shoe. Here we go. The Jordan 23s originally released in 2008, and they came back once in 2015 with a special Chicago edition. But I think it's time for the Jordan 23 to officially come back. It's one of my favorite Jordan shoes. That, along with the Jordan 20s, I just yearn for a day that Jordan Brand comes to their senses and brings those two back. This shoe specifically dropped on January 22nd for a whopping price of $260. Again, not released in the US, it was only released in Asia, I believe in Europe, and I believe in Canada as well. I don't know why Jordan Brand continues to torture Americans like this, but I had them in hand, not complaining. Right off the bat, this colorway, so clean. That pastel green, I love that. I love pastel or earthy or neutral tones. And this is just, I can't say enough about this colorway. The upper sole of the shoe is mainly leather, apart from the ankle collar, and I'll get to that in a minute. And the leather on this shoe is really nice. It's very soft, and it feels like a cut of genuine leather. You can see the grain coming through. So on a normal Jordan 23, the stitching is DNA inspired. So you see that DNA helix pattern. However, on this Jordan 23, they've kind of simplified it and modified it a bit. So the stitching looks less busy. Not really quite sure what you call this pattern. Maybe some type of concentric circles, but regardless, it looks really nice, especially on that pastel green. And you see the gold stitching right above the midsole. Very nice touch, very nice colorway for Lunar New Year. And on the toe box of the shoe, another very distinct feature of the Jordan 23 is Michael Jordan's signature etched in gold. See that all around the toe box. And his signature actually just looks really dope in general. Does he do anything bad? Even his signature looks dope. And on the tongue of the shoe, you see a red Jumpman. That's very fitting because red is obviously a very prominent color in Lunar New Year. Now in a normal Jordan 23, you usually see a Jumpman as well as the number 23 on the other tongue. However, on this shoe, the tongues are identical on both. They made another modification on the inside of the tongue. On this shoe, you see a red and gold rabbit, obviously for the Year of the Rabbit. On a normal Jordan 23, you see Michael Jordan's thumbprint on the inside of the tongue. Now in a vacuum, I think the thumbprint is just so dope. I think that's such a cool little detail. However, the Year of the Rabbit Lunar New Year shoe, the rabbit does make sense on the inside of the tongue. You see ventilation going all the way up the tongue. A lot of times shoes will use ventilation on the toe box or on the side of the upper sole. This shoe, it just keeps it on the tongue. On the booty of the shoe, very unique and distinct feature of the Jordan 23 is a fin that comes out, and you see the gold stitching right down the fin. It's so dope. The Jordan 23 has a Phylon midsole. Now Phylon is essentially a type of EVA foam that Nike patented, so it's made to be more lightweight, provide more cushioning. However, you also see this TPU cover on the midsole, and that's meant to provide more reinforcement, more rigidity. So you see it all around, and it almost feels like acrylic. It is very solid, and that makes sense. Theoretically, the Jordan 23 is made to be a basketball shoe. So you obviously want some rigidity and support. And overall, I think just aesthetically, it looks really nice. Look at the pattern on the heel. That looks so dope. Another really cool thing about the Jordan 23 is the outsole. And the traction on the Jordan 23 is made to look like Michael Jordan's thumbprint. And performance-wise, it really holds up. And you see the carbon fiber shank plate. One of my favorite things about any shoe is the use of carbon fiber. Provides so much support, so lightweight. Just tap in it, you can feel how solid it is. Love it. Absolutely love it. This shoe also has a full-length Zoom Air unit, and it also makes use of an IPS cushioning system. Now essentially, that's a bunch of pods with different densities, so it provides more versatile cushioning, and you start to see in this era of Jordans, at least compared to the very early Jordans, how many advancements in terms of technology as well as materials that are used. Now onto the inside of the shoe, you see the ankle collar has this very nice fabric, and on the outside, you see this exposed fabric with a cover that almost feels like suede. I'm not 100% sure that it's suede, but it feels like it. Something that's very unique to this shoe. Now the downside of that is, of course, that's just gonna get destroyed in the rain or the snow. The shoe has a red insole with a golden Jumpman on top that obviously resembles a red pocket. It's very prominent in Lunar New Year culture, where people hand each other red pockets that has money in them, and they exchange it with friends, family, relatives. Again, love the storytelling, love the attention to detail. And the box of the shoe also comes in that super dope pastel green color. And on the Jumpman, you see gray and gold brush strokes. The gold obviously you see on the stitching of the shoe as well. And on the paper inside the shoe, you see the same pattern, as well as the same Jumpman logo design that you see on the tongue of the shoe. Love that. All those details from box to shoe, seamless. One complaint I have for this shoe, doesn't come with any extra laces. I would have liked to see a set of pastel green or even gold or red laces. Might not look as good as the default white, but I'd like to see for myself. Now moving on to sizing and comfort, I'm a size 9.5 true to size. I do have wide feet, but I didn't go up half a size for this shoe, and I gotta say, right around this toe box area, that is snug. Probably more snug than I would like it to be. Lengthwise, it's perfect. Fits very well like a glove, but this toe box area, it does hurt. And overall, because of the materials, because of that reinforced chassis on the shoe, it can feel stiff. Maybe I just gotta break it in and wear it for a few days. However, initially for an hour that I wore it before this segment of the video, it does feel stiff. And the Jordan 23 has always been known to be a very lightweight shoe. At least up until that point, it was one of the lightest Air Jordans, weighing in at only 15 ounces. And that's not surprising judging from the material they chose, like the Phylon midsole, like the carbon fiber shank plate. All of those are very lightweight but provides great cushioning and support. So on feet, they really feel like socks. The padding on the ankle collar and inside, really comfortable. However, for me personally, the toe box and the stiffness, there's more comfortable shoes that I've worn. So if you're a wide footer and you don't mind that extra length and a looser fit, I recommend maybe going up half a size. But for me personally, despite that toe box area where it is too tight, I prefer a snug fit overall. I really don't like a lot of gap lengthwise, so I don't really regret going true to size. So for this shoe, if you're not a wide footer, definitely go true to size. If you do have wide feet, it really comes down to personal preference. And the total sole score for this shoe is 22 out of 25, right behind the Jordan 3 Reimagined, the second highest score that I've ever given to a shoe. And the two things that I think hurt this shoe slightly, number one is the comfort that I just talked about, especially in that toe box area for a wide footer like myself. And the second thing is the versatility. I think this colorway is so clean, so versatile, so wearable. However, compared to like a Jordan 1, Jordan 3, Jordan 4, where we almost consider those shoes as casual shoes now, in a vacuum, when you look at the silhouette, it does still look like a basketball shoe, at least to me. And low tops generally are more versatile than high tops anyway. I think there's still a lot of ways you can pull off a really good casual look on this shoe. However, despite having a very dope colorway on a silhouette that I really like, I think there's more versatile shoes. Aside from that, colorway is perfect, the material is great, the leather feels very nice, the Phylon midsole, the carbon fiber shank plate, the well-padded ankle collar, everything that I love in a shoe. And as far as storytelling goes, from the box to the shoe, all the details that reference Lunar New Year and the Year of the Rabbit, doesn't get better than that. Maybe because the market isn't saturated with Jordan 23s, maybe it's the nostalgia, maybe it's the colorway, maybe it's because I couldn't get these in the US, so I had to go to great lengths to get this shoe. Whatever the reason is, this is definitely my favorite shoe of 2023 so far, even though it got a lower sole score than the Jordan 3 Reimagined. But the sole score is 5 metrics looked at in isolation, and there's just something intangible about this shoe that I can't quite put into words that I absolutely love. Objectively, people aren't going to put this shoe in their top 10 of 2023, but I guarantee you, this shoe will be in my top 10 by year's end. Probably high up on the list. And that's how things should be. The reason you like a shoe isn't always tangible. You like what you like, you buy what you like, and you wear what you like. And nobody else's opinion should really matter. So that's it. Thanks for watching Sole Inclined. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you never miss a video. Let me know what you think of the Air Jordan 23 Year of the Rabbit. And remember, tomorrow may never come, so wear your shoes.